So what's today's lesson? It's 306.
Yeah. Mhm.
Lesson 306 is the gift of Christ is that's the song she was playing. Wow.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Morning, Dove, Sharon, and Lori.
Good
Just
morning.
turning this mic over to you for Thankful Thursday.
Oh, yes.
Thankful
Okay.
Thursday.
Good morning. The gift of Christ is all I seek today. So, this is, again, the gift is Christ's vision. This is Ken Wapnick's journey through the workbook. Looking at the world through the Holy Spirit's eyes that see no justification for separation. So vision is really where we are now. Like as we look through vision, we see that it's just awareness or love's presence that's here. And then there's these objects that appear, like the character that's talking with her hands, moving back and forth now, or the guy that's on the screen. These are images in my mind. That's all I'm looking at today, right? So the vision is when Christ's vision comes, the way this process has unfolded for me was that the Christ vision came really like strong, like a couple of years ago, where I just saw that, I am the seer, I am the witness, I'm witnessing a dream that really never happened. And the reason it never happened is because we're in God's mind. There's nothing here. You can't usurp the power of God. So what but Christ's vision would I use today when it can offer me a day in which I see a world so like to heaven that an ancient memory returns to me? It's obvious this memory that the Course is talking about is just the radiant light that we are. It's the light, we are light. That's all that's really here. And then there's this miracle of this world that we're believing we're in, and it's just a total dream. It's a dream, and it can be a nightmare. So either or. This is the real world, which through illusory reflects heaven's oneness, since it opposes nothing. It is the state of mind that symbolizes the truth that is just beyond our dreams of separation. Today, I can forget the world I made. Today, I can go past all fear and be restored to love and holiness and peace. This is yet another way of saying we are wrong and the Holy Spirit is right. And until the ego gets like really quiet, these thought forms come out and they just distract us and put us back into the relative. And the relative's a story that's just happening. So I am now on, it was 3 weeks Monday that I had COVID, and I thought I was getting better, and every day I say I'm getting better or I'm better, and then I'm not. I've had the chills all night. It's crazy. But what I'm doing is watching Sharon, watching, her husband Cliff. The dream character Sharon is just that, a dream character. But I got to tell you the truth, guys. She doesn't want to go anywhere yet, right? So she wants this COVID to go away. But at the same time, where could she go? Where could she go? I mean, we are really looking at an outside picture of an inward condition. We are seeing a world that's coming through us from the inside, and there really is no inside. It's just a story of glory. If we stay out of the ego is kind of like, if we stay out of the ego mind, we're just in perfect oneness, which is presence, and that's all there is, really. But yet I could never see that until recently, that there's nothing here but objects. I'm looking at a teddy bear, I'm looking at a lamp, but how do I even know what these things are? Except that the mind that's thinking them was trained. Because the reality is that I interpret everything I see, everything I know. I am the interpreter of the character's dream. So what am I interpreting? I'm interpreting today peace and heaven. Why wait for heaven? Because heaven is a state of mind. Heaven is what I am. Over to you, whoever picks it up. I am not picking. I am not fussy. Whoever picks up, either Dove or Lori.
Yeah. Go ahead, Laurie.
She was exercising. Okay.
I had mentioned I wanted you to go, Dove.
Oh, okay, sure. I'm going to look at today's lesson too. The gift of Christ is all I seek today. And it starts off, it says, today I can forget the world I made. Today I can go past all fear, be restored to love and holiness and peace. Today I am redeemed and born anew in a world of mercy and of care, of loving kindness and the peace of God. Well, that's the beauty of the second coming, that you are redeemed totally. You're freed from the identity of being a body, and all the guilt, blame, shame that goes with being a separate body, seeing others as separate, as others as different, which is a totally different world than the world that my body's eyes are showing me. My body's eyes are showing me a world of people who attack each other, a world where people hate each other, people, and is this real, or is it kind of like a dreamy illusion? So, as Rupert Spiro says, the dreamy illusion is not going to go away. But my ignorance is going to disappear, and I'm going to begin to recognize that the things that seem to frighten or scare or intimidate, or things that seem to be against, quote, me, there's no me. There's the I am. The I am. And, yesterday I noticed that AM is the middle name of the family name of same. We are the same family. And the middle of same is am. So I am the same as my brothers and sisters everywhere are the same. And our middle name is I am. It's an am. It's an amness. And that's like amnesty, where you are finally freed from the prison of solitary confinement, serving a life sentence on death row. I kind of look at, what the news is saying, that, because of, you're identified as a certain religion, people hate you because you've done terrible things. I don't recall doing any terrible things, but it seems like if you're different than others, differences create hatred. And that's the only reason that there's war in this world. And there's always been war in this world. There's never been a time that there hasn't been war in this world, except when we were too poor to go to war because we had no money, or we're too sick from plagues or COVID to go to war. Other than that, we've always been at war. You gotta laugh. I mean, why would you ever come to a place where everyone's always in conflict and at war? Well, there's no such thing as everyone. Look within. Are you in conflict? Are you listening to the voice for God that tells you that you are the Christ? The gift of Christ is all I seek today? Or are you listening to the voice that tells you you better cover up and hunker down because somebody's coming after you and you better defend yourself? Well, lesson 135, if I defend myself, I'm attacking myself. There's no one out there to attack me except myself, and my own beliefs, my own lies about myself. Yeah, I was thinking yesterday, the word algorithm is used very loosely in the computer world. Like, Instagram has an algorithm, so you find exactly what it is that your mind is on. And I realized that, in this computerized world that we live in, there are algorithms too. And what is an algorithm? It's our own thoughts. Our own thoughts. Notice how, like, if you're tall and a man, and you like certain kind of sweaters, all of a sudden, all of the ads around you are for tall men with these kind of sweaters. How do they know me? Well, it's the same thing with our thoughts. The thoughts are the algorithms that attract to you the exact thing that you need for the lessons that you came here for, to wake up to remember that you are the Christ, that none of this world that you made as a substitute for your true home is real. But of course, the Holy Spirit has his own use for this world that we made as a substitute. He says, hey, listen, it's really a classroom. Yeah, you come here to learn lessons, turn your lessons into blessings. And how do you do that? Well, when you find something that you trip on and you stumble, he's saying, hey, the only reason you're stumbling is that, it's a trigger. It's triggering you. And you know what Dove says, be grateful for your triggers because they reveal your mistaken beliefs. And isn't that a belief a lie? So as you begin to turn your lies into, well, you're not turning it into, you're letting your lies go. You say, I have no need of this anymore. What remains is the truth. The truth is only the truth is true, and nothing else is true. So the gift of Christ is all I seek today. I am the Christ. I am the same Christ. We all are as one. And with that, I'm going to turn this mic on over to you, Laurie Coburn.
Thanks, Dove. I'm going to read Ken Wapnick's commentary about the first paragraph. But the first paragraph reads, what but Christ's vision would I use today when it can offer me a day in which I see a world so like to heaven that an ancient memory returns to me? That's line 1. And Ken says, this is the real world, which, though illusory, reflects heaven's oneness, since it opposes nothing. It is the state of mind that symbolizes the truth that is just beyond our dreams of separation. Lines 2 and 3 say, today I can forget the world I made. Today I can go past all fear and be restored to love and holiness and peace. Ken says, this is yet another way of saying we are wrong and the Holy Spirit is right. By choosing our new teacher, we forget the thought system we made and the world that arose from it. In their place in our awareness, dawn the gifts of love, holiness, and peace, harbingers of the awakening of ourself. My girlfriend and I were talking the other day about how we are much more at peace. We are much happier. We just don't feel the internal conflict. We can't do all of our old patterns. But we both said, but where is that sense of expansive joy or expansive love? And we hate to use the word bliss because I think bliss is more of a mystical experience that you don't necessarily have all the time. But we were saying, where is that broadened feeling that the Course talks about? And we came to the conclusion that we both, even though we have let go of a lot of ego, we both still have a lot more attachment to ego than we realize, and just let it go, because only the ego can say, where is it? Where is it? How come I'm not feeling what I should feel according to this? How come I'm not waking up more? And of course, A Course in Miracles tells us we're already there. We're already there. So it can be a trap. The Course is written in dualistic language, but it leads to a non-dual experience. So I've heard people say, well, it's a dualistic teaching. I don't think it's a dualistic teaching. I think it's written in duality so it can meet people where they're at. and then lead them to non-duality. It's a non-dual teaching because it says God is all there is. So the way this lesson is written, lesson 306, the gift of Christ is all I seek today, it can be a trap in the sense that if you think you're an ego, a separate self who's seeking Christ, then you can stay stuck in that. So the awareness that my girlfriend and I were talking about is just watch that. Just watch it. You don't have to worry about it. It's like Dove was saying, Rupert Spira said, the dream illusion will always be there. But just watch it and know that you're not that. So that part of you that says, how come I'm not there yet? Well, that has to be ego. You know, how come I don't feel more love and joy? Well, that has to be ego. And so you watch that with the love that you are, knowing the truth, that you don't have to change anything. You can't be lost. You don't want to fight the ego. You don't want to resist where you think you're at right now, because where you think you're at is really not where you're at. When you take that deep breath and you feel that oneness inside of you, that's it. That's it. You don't have to keep going. But what we tend to do is we do our meditation, we do our reading, our prayers or whatever, and then we come out of that and we tend to our daily chores or whatever, and we forget that that quiet center goes with us wherever we go. As in chapter 18, section 7, I need do nothing. It says, this quiet center will go with you on every busy doing. And so when we can know that we are already there, that's been my practice for years and years. I'm already there. And even saying I'm already there, there's a trap there, because it can easily fall into, I, as the dream character Lori, am already there. Well, there is no dream character Lori. But when you do affirm it, but with the knowledge of even the words that you're using are dualistic by necessity, words have to be dualistic, you can get yourself to a place of more equanimity. And that's what I was working with a client last night, where he kept saying, my whole life I've studied the course, and how come I'm not better? And I said to him, who is saying that? And he pauses and says, well, that has to be the ego saying that. And so we talked about how the ego thought system and the Holy Spirit's thought system are completely separate, because the ego thought system is nothing. Not because the Holy Spirit, trashes the ego thought system or we're denying truth. No. When we say they're completely separate, it's because there is nothing there. The ego thought system is nothing. And a lot of qualified non-dualists will say, well, if you separate yourself from the ego thought system, then you're in separation. It's like, no, you're not, because how can you separate yourself from nothing? The ego thought system is nothing. And so when we have those glimmers of, oh yeah, that's right. That's right. God is all there is. That's all I am. Not the separate self me that I think, but the what I really am. Then there's that moment of, yes, yes. So even the title of lesson 306, the gift of Christ is all I seek today. It reminds the ego that the ego is not real. So you can even say the gift of Christ is all I am today. The gift of Christ is all I see today. Not even seek, because seeking is of the ego. Striving, seeking, trying to get somewhere else is of the ego. So I'm going to turn this over to you, Sharon.
That's good, Lori. Thank you.
That was great, Lori. That was really great. The thing is, we're in a matrix. That's all this is. And the character that we think we are, we're not. I mean, I'm as much Lori as I am Dove, in the sense that there's one of us here just dreaming of separation, and it's absolutely meaningless. There's nothing that, and try telling an ego that you're meaningless. That wouldn't be real well. That wouldn't go over real big. So I'm going to go on in Ken's book and say, today I'm redeemed and born anew into the world of mercy and of care, of loving kindness and the peace of God. We are born anew when we choose the teacher of forgiveness. Now, this choice that we seem to make is not happening from a person. This is all happening from consciousness. It's either right-minded consciousness or wrong-minded consciousness. So when we do make these choices, it's happening very, very much on a subatomic level. It's at the bottom of the mind when we make these choices. Because, if I thought about it, Sharon's sitting on a bed right now, reading, and, that's false evidence appearing real. And it certainly does appear real. It feels real. And we love our stories too. At least I do. I love my stories, but I'm starting to become more and more, I guess, laughing at them now, because they have no meaning. It's only the interpreting that I do. If I believe that it's really a world, then I'm going to be stuck in hell. Because to be a separate self, you're going to die. Like right now, this separate self body is not well. It feels sick. And that's just one of the things that we go through. Somebody asked me this morning, one of my friends has COVID like me, and she was saying, because I told her it was a dream a while ago. And she said, well, I think it's a nightmare. And what I've seen in this dream that we think we're having, and remember, thinking is the word here. When I think about this dream that we're having, it just like falls away. It's like this mirage that we believe is made up of all these solid things, and it's not. It's empty. It's just emptiness. It's all love. So he says, this is yet another way of saying we are wrong and the Holy Spirit is right. And, this mind used to get very upset because I wanted the peace of God and I kept saying it. And what I've learned is that you keep going. Don't look for, how the separate self turns out. That's meaningless. Just go forward in presence, because we're really being lived by the allness, by the formlessness of all of us. The wholeness is living through every one of us. And, our little scraps of fear and trepidation and all of that, it's just all part of the dream, right? Even the awakening is part of the story. And when Lori was talking about the ego, what I was sensing is most of the time on this path, or all of the time, was the ego that wanted to wake up, right? But what happens is the ego gets thinner and thinner and thinner. And I do feel like at times expanded all over, like of just totally connected to everything. And then I can come back and also feel the separation at times. And that's all part of the undoing. And why the Course talks about faith and trust is because the Holy Spirit's doing the whole thing. We're not doing anything. The person can't. The person is nothing but just false evidence appearing real. We are born anew when we choose the teacher of forgiveness. So we are choosing. Like, I feel like I started this process 17 years ago, but I really believe this is an undoing from the time you just even show up here in a world. I think it's something that we couldn't even understand. And that's the whole point. Only the ego wants to evaluate. Only the ego wants to understand. There isn't anything to understand. It's just God is. Yet every instant can you be reborn and given life again. His holiness gives life to you. You cannot die because his sinlessness is known to God and can no more be sanctified by you than can the light in you be blotted out because he sees it not. It amazes me sometimes when I just sit and I'm watching this light. This light is the awareness of our being. And it's definitely doing all the work. It's thinning everything out. It's all the invisible of the Holy Christ, or let's just say Christ consciousness, right? That's just invisible. So what I did yesterday a lot was just watch the ego. Like I'd watch a show or a movie and I'd look at the ego responses, because See, the more that we separate ourselves from the machine, the more we're just here. And when we're just here-ness. The truth is that what Lori was saying is we are nothing, no thing, but we're everything. And our Father is where we've never left, right? He's the creator, we're the creation, and there's no separation to that. So really only God is real. And with that, I'm going to give it over to you, Doug.
All righty. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I heard you say nothing here is real. It's made out of nothing. It reminded me of something that I posted on Facebook yesterday from Niels Bohr. Now, Niels Bohr was the Nobel Prize winner, colleague of Albert Einstein, and he spoke on quantum physics. And this is what he said. He agrees with you, Sharon. He says everything that we call real is made of things that cannot be regarded as real. And so you say, well, what do you mean made? Well, we know of protons, neutrons, electrons. And when they looked at these things, there was nothing really there. You know, you can almost compare it to pixels, you know, like you're looking at a picture, and even though the picture looks very real, it's just made up of little pixels that are not even here. You gotta laugh, really. And then I was getting off a little on your story, Laurie, about the person who said, "How come I'm not getting any better?" Of course, that is an ego statement, and you know, lately I've been saying, you know, how is it that you're able to say you got to laugh? Well, you got to laugh in a world that says, "How can you laugh at this? It's catastrophic. It's terrible." You got to laugh mainly because what you're seeing is not real. Exactly what Niels Bohr said, and the introduction of A Course in Miracles says, I can sum up this whole course for you in 3 lines. Oh, really? Go ahead, try. Well, what's real can't be threatened. You got to laugh. What's unreal doesn't even exist. Yeah, you got to laugh. Herein lies the peace of God. So, you know, I have these things that basically I have been able to cull out of 1,300 pages of the Course in Miracles. Of course, I call it the 12 core themes of A Course in Miracles because he's really saying the same thing over and over again. And you begin to recognize that you're under no laws but the laws of God, which you find basically in lesson 76. But what do you mean by the laws of God? Well, God doesn't know about gravity and nutrition and currency and things of this world. He doesn't know anything about form. And you have that wonderful line: nothing is as blinding as form, and nothing blinds you more than the idea of form. So all the things in the idea of this world of form, this is a world of form. Form is another word for things. Makes you blind. Suzanne de Kaiser sent me a thing overnight, which comes really from Harry Potter's stories, and it was about 3 of the kids who were caught in a cave, and the devil demons, which is really like in the form of snakes, was starting to ensnare them and capture them, and they couldn't breathe. And one of the 3, I don't know what her name was, that she says, just relax. And oh yeah, she found this on Keith Kavanaugh's website, which is just relax. Now, relax is just another word for trust. You know, In fact, the idea of trust, to rely upon spirit totally, means I need do nothing, just relax. I need do nothing, just relax. I mean, Brent Haskell, who does Journey Beyond Words, which is channeled really from the same voice as Helen heard, when he came to that place in the Course where it says, do you know what the secret of salvation is? I'm saying, yeah, he's going to say the secret of salvation is I'm doing this to myself. But actually, he didn't say that. He said the secret of salvation is relax your mind, release your thoughts. Remember those algorithms? They're strangling you. They keep you on the battleground. Yeah. And then it says, relax your mind, release your thoughts, and let go. Now, the algorithms are attracting the battleground. Like, oh man, what are they doing there in the Middle East, man? You know, they made such a mistake. Now the whole world is now condemning them. Why are they doing that? You know, and now everybody here has to be afraid because people want to get revenge. And you can't even walk across a campus without thinking that someone's going to kill you. Really? What kind of a world is this? Relax, relax. You're dreaming. You're identifying with the illusion again. So I have these things that I call guardrails. I mean, actually, the word guardrails is, you know, a term that they use a lot in describing the news, like there are guardrails that keep government straight and keep things going the way it's supposed to be going. And actually, the Course in Miracles has these guardrails too. You know, if you're on the battleground and you think that there is a past and a future, you're going to remain on the battleground for a very long time. But you know that lesson 23 that says rising above the battleground. The way to rise above the battleground is simply letting go of the battleground. The same as those three kids in the Harry Potter story. They had to relax. They had to relax. And there's certain things in the Course in Miracles that tells you exactly how to relax. Like my birthday lesson, lesson 133. I will not value what is valueless. What's valuable belongs to me. So as long as you're valuing the valueless, which means to seek, and Laurie, I thought that what you said was so precious. He says, you know, it's not the gift of Christ is what I seek. No, the gift of Christ is what I am. Exactly, Laurie, that was perfect. Because the I amness is the same as sameness. Isn't am the middle name of the family of sameness? Really? Yeah, I am the same. And it's in that sameness that the battleground goes away. It disappears. There's no battle when there's no differences. It's only when there's differences that there is conflict. There's no differences, there's no conflict, there's only sameness, there's only oneness, there's only equality. Imagine that. Equality? My favorite word, yeah. As Karen Prenti says, which she quotes the Course in Miracles, chapter 7, section 3, only equals are at peace. Only. Keyword is only equals are at peace. So you really want the peace of God? If you really want it, then just see your sameness. Yeah, like he tells you in chapter 15, section 11, I think it's the last paragraph. It says, make this year different by making it all the same. So, you know, you have these guardrails, these things that lift you off the battleground. Like if something begins in time and ends in time, it has no value to you. So, you know, the idea I'm not there yet is the idea of time. That's a zero statement. It doesn't mean anything. Lesson 1. And the other criteria for what has no value, if I see someone else have something that I don't have, or maybe I have something that others don't have, whatever it is valueless. Because what God gives to all equally, equality, sameness, oneness, unified. Yes, this is a collaboration of union. That's what truth is. Truth is union. And with that, I'm going to turn this mic on back on over to you, Laurie Coburn.
Thanks, Dove. I love what you're saying about algorithms. And if you look at it, we all have our personal, seemingly personal algorithms on whatever issue or issues are the ones that hook us the most. Like, for example, I see on the email list from my interfaith center, people will put out prayer requests. And the same people will have the same type of prayer requests all the time. And if it's your issue happens to be your job, your prayer request is always about your job. If it happens to be with grief and loss, you're always losing a person or losing a dog or losing something. Other people have these prayer requests that are always about their children. And it's so interesting because in our heads, we have these algorithms that go off and running. And I noticed that this morning that I started getting into the ego and just rah, 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 rah. And I've had an algorithm of doing that with whatever relationship, love relationship I'm in, because that's my hook. And after about 2 minutes of that, I went, wait a minute, how did I get here? What the heck just happened? I was just in peace and happy. And then all of a sudden I'm like, well, you're rejecting me, so I'm going to reject you back kind of algorithm, basically. And I realized it was just this slight little thought of he's rejecting me, which isn't even true, but it went off and running. So just like these computer programs that will just instantly find out of a zillion pieces of information, they'll find that one that hooks you. And the computer hooks us, doesn't it? It hooks us and we click on it. And we do that in our heads. And it's like those trigger thoughts that we have. And I've had certain ones also that I have had to absolutely say, no, you do not allow that thought in. The instant you see it, stop. And for me in the past, it was, I just want to die. I just want to die. And I finally had to say, boy, that one is building steam. You have to stop that. Do not even allow that thought in. And I didn't allow it in for about 10 years. And then in this last year, with the so-called loss of Rod, which was in relative terms, in ego terms, for me, probably one of the biggest losses I've ever had, because he was so important to me. That thought of, I just want to die, has crept back in, or I've allowed it back in. I allowed it. And then I was noticing, oh, stop, you got to stop this. This is not okay. And this is not good. And so it never took root or really overcame me, for any long period of time, but it was icky. And so the same type of thing, if we can look at our triggers and say, what is the one thought that we click on that then goes off and running and we are gone? Or a couple thoughts, because then once we get that one, the ego's going to come up with another one that it wants us to go off and running on. But when we can catch those and head them off at the pass, like the guardrails that you were talking about, Dove, that's a guardrail. Oh, stopping that thought is your guardrail so that you don't go off on that. And so what I'm really grateful for this morning is I had not seen this before. Any little thought that my partner is rejecting me, doesn't want to be around me, doesn't like me, doesn't appreciate me, any little rejection thought, which is not even true. I'm tired tonight. I don't want to get together. Up, off and running, and let me break up with you because you're tired tonight. I would take a rejection thought and take it to the nth degree. And we all do that, again, whether it's with our health or with our jobs or with our kids or whatever we are hooked on in the ego. So that's a great exercise to go, what are my trigger thoughts, and stop them. So I'm going to stop here and turn it over to Sharon.
Okay. Whatever your mind thinks about expands. I can't say it, but algorithms. Anyway, yeah, the mind is working as a computer, and it just keeps going. And I wonder, like, when we do fall back into the story, what does it really mean? It means nothing, because really our minds are blank. So if this happens, it just happens. And it does happen, through the day for this mind. Anyway, the fear of healing today is the chapter in chapter 27. And is healing frightening, it says. To many, yes. Now, for me, I was scared. I was scared that I was going to disappear. But who's the eye that was scared? It was the little eye that was scared. Sharon isn't scared. Well, you could call Sharon the little eye, right? Because I'm really the illness. So, yeah, I mean, and that's very normal for an ego. Like we all know from reading A Course in Miracles or any of the non-dual stuff that we read, that the ego, it doesn't even know what we are. It's not like it doesn't want us to wake up. It doesn't know anything. It's a complete computer of what was downloaded either by the collective or by, the individual consciousness. So when you look, like it says here, for accusation is a bar to love, and damaged bodies are accusers. So we go, yeah, look at that. It's real. Look at her. She has no leg. Look at her. She just got in a car accident. Oh my God, did you hear what happened to her? This is what's going on all day long. This is what we do as humans. We're mesmerized by this dream. At least I am, right? And it's a dream of 10,000 things. That's all we're looking at. We're looking at objects, consciousness. We are subject. We're not real. We can't, the reason why we know we're not a body is because that's just a thought. It's a thought in our mind. It's division. It's a belief in separation. So, for the mind of, again, we're not bodies. And the thing about the Course that always is so important is that it speaks of us as mind. Because if we come from the body, it's very hard to say that we are not a body, right? So it says they stand firmly in the way of trust and peace, proclaiming that the frail can have no trust and that the damaged have no grounds for peace. Who has been injured by his brother and could love and trust him still? He is attacked and will attack again. And this is going on all day. The attacks that happen and the sides that we pick, the ego's picking all of it. So you can watch it. So last night I wanted to dumb down because I really was not feeling myself. And I just watched a movie, but it wasn't even that good of a movie. But I was watching the mind. I was using it as the movie as a way to see how invisible the ego is, just like, the subject of what we are. It's all invisible. What's visible is really not real. The workings of all of this are inside or invisible, right? It's the invisible. And the stories that we've collected over the lifetime is what we get trapped in. But make no mistake about it. I like my story, and I know that. So that's why I have to kind of get out of it, But what I was doing is using a movie as a place to watch the mind, because what I sometimes believe is that Sharon's mind is my mind, but it's only one mind. The ego has absolutely, this is interpersonal consciousness. There's nothing personal about this. Who wakes up? It's not personal. Consciousness, God, I am, didn't say, I think I'll pick her. That's not how it works. It just happens like everything else, and none of it means anything. And when we realize we're already home, we're already whole, who is it? What part of this mind wants to wake up? It's always been the ego. The ego is a massive troublemaker. And it's very interesting because this particular mind is an ADHD brain. So it's all over the place. And that's the interesting thing about, the character that I'm playing, because she has this brain that goes, but it also it lends itself to non-duality, because there's never been real structure in this thinking, right? Because I don't have like a, I can look at, it's interesting when you go to school with people that don't have ADHD, and they have no clue what it's like to have a brain like that. But the brain of this character is challenged. It's always been challenged. But in the end, it was the best brain for me, right? Because it brought me home, and none of it meant anything. So what is it that, we look for charity, we forgive everything, we want mercy, we want all of that. What is all that? It's all love. Love has no opposite. Love is what we are, and the veil of the ego moves out of the way when we see that it's only now. It's only nowness. It's only here-ness. We are all the Buddha. We are all God. We cannot be God because we are one with God. So these voices that we hear are all from the beloved. And it's always perfect. And, I see how this mind ego is trying to use my illness now to really get my attention. Well, you're not going to get better. And, that might be. Who the heck knows? But, I have to say that my life was absolutely, it wasn't my life. It's life itself living us. But it was beautiful because it was truly what Shakespeare said, a comedy and a tragedy. And it's all perfect. And I can honestly say at this point that everything that happened to this mind happened perfectly to wake me up and be where I am here right now. Over to you, Doug.
All right, Sharon. Thank you so much. Yeah, I like that word, algorithms for thoughts too. Whatever your mind thinks about expands, and algorithms are whatever your mind thinks about. And if your mind is thinking like that example you gave, Lori, about, if he says, hey, I'm too tired, I don't want to see you tonight, you aren't going to say the same thing to him, but you take his remark as F you. So I say F you back, and my F you is going to top his F you for sure, because that's what this whole world is. Can you top this? Whatever you can do, I can do better. Remember that song? I used to love that song. Whatever I can sing better than you. Whatever you do, I can do better. That's the ego's entire thing. I can do better than you. You made $1 million, I'll make $1 billion. You made $1 billion, I'll make $2 billion. I give back whatever is given to me. So yeah, whatever is given to me, I give back in spades. I can do better than you. So as Helen Schuckman basically said, and I only know this, not that I heard her say it, that Ken Wapping said, Helen Schuckman would say, never underestimate the power of denial. So what is all the FUs anyway, but denial? And he tells you in text chapter 7, section 7, in the very first paragraph, it's called the totality of the kingdom. He says, if you deny a brother a blessing, you deny your own blessing. Now, what does it mean to be denied a blessing? Well, as Lynn's birthday lesson, February 9th, lesson 40th day of the year, I am blessed as a son of God. Isn't that today's lesson, basically? The gift of Christ is all I am. Yeah. Lesson 306, the gift of Christ, the gift of being the Son of God is what I am. But it's not what you are if you deny someone else the gift of the Son of God. Oh, he's not the Son of God. I am. Really. And it really gets down to you're really, all denial is basically saying, listen, God doesn't respect me. God doesn't love me. So I'm going to deny the love of God that I am, and I'm going to go do what I want to do. But, I have a free will. The ego says, hey, anything's possible in this world, right? I can make $1 billion. I don't need you. I don't need you. No, you're the actor, the hero of your own dream. You're the hero of your own movie. And yeah, you can be a cowboy, you can be an Indian, you can be a millionaire, you can be anything you want in Alice's restaurant. You can be whatever you want to be here at Alice's restaurant. That's right. So, the idea of denial is as powerful as love itself. Means that becomes our algorithm. Denial becomes an algorithm. I deny that I am the Son of God, and then you become just like that Son of God that went to feed the pigs. If I deny a brother his blessings, I'm going to deny that I am blessed as a son of God. And going even deeper than that, I believe that God doesn't respect me, so I'm going off and just do my own thing. I'm gonna spend my life doing what I want to do. I don't care. Whatever happens, and whatever I do is going to be better than what you do. So that's my form of denial. We are two different. We're not the same. We are different. We are not the same. So it winds up that basically we are what we made of ourselves. We're different. I'm free to be alone in this world, serving a life sentence on death row. I mean, everybody dies, so that's the great equalizer. And meanwhile, I'll spend my time in solitary confinement. Oh, I'll have friends, and they're going through the same stuff that I am. It's so obvious, they're angry, they're mad, they don't like what's going on in the world. I don't like what's going on in the world. So I guess I am what I am. Isn't that Popeye? Popeye the Sailor Man. I am a Popeye. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. I live in a garbage can. There's gas and I fry my ass. Oh, that's just about it. Laurie, this mic is all yours.
I love what you said, Dov, about the am in the middle of same. I never saw that before. And I think some of the concepts we're talking about today are really great ones that are very helpful shortcuts, like thinking of it as an algorithm, seeing the word am in the middle of same. It's so great. It's like, yeah, I love this. I pulled up your 12 core themes of let's see, here it is. 12 core themes of A Course in Miracles that you put together, Dov. 1, let me remember my purpose to heal as all I desire. 2, I am responsible for my thoughts and their effects. 3, nothing in this world can satisfy God's eternal Son. 4, I let go of all my past goals, opening my mind to truth. 5, I choose to align my will with God's, which is my own. 6, I choose what I would see. I decide what I experience. 7, when I see a brother's mistake, it is my own error I see. 8, I do this to myself. I can undo it. 9, let me rest in God. All that I do is under his guidance. 10, everything is a lesson for my healing when seen correctly. 11, my one function is true forgiveness. 12, what I give to myself always. And myself, capital S, self, always. And that's basically what you were saying. Everything that we're saying we're doing to ourselves. And I loved what you were saying about, well, F you, you're feeling an F you from the other one. I'm going to F you back and I'm going to do it better. And isn't that the whole thing of the world? The attack, defend, attack, defend. And what we see in the Middle East is they are such a great representation of the ego mind. You did it first. No, you did it first. No, you did it first. And I'm going to get you. Well, you got me, then I'm going to get you back. And they've been doing it for thousands of years. And it's the same old thing. I remember back in 1973, I was, about 15 or something like that back then. And I was absolutely terrified with the 1973 war. I think it was between Israel and Egypt. And I was like, the world is going to end. It's going to be Armageddon. It's going to blow up. And, that could happen. That could happen with all these things. And guess what? If it does, and we're all blown up, we'll just laugh and we'll go back to our true self. Well, we will remain as God created us. This world is over. It will be over. And we don't have to fear that. Now, of course, we don't want to do anything to push it or, make it happen or make bad things happen, but we don't have to even worry about the outcome in form. And I've really focused a lot lately about when you forgive, the world will be a safe place, a stable place, a place where you can rest a while. And that has become more and more of my reality. I don't feel it all the time. When I get into ego fears, of course, I don't feel it. But that actually has been shown to be the case, where when I let go of things unfold, they just unfold on their own, and everything is taken care of. Like you've said, Dove, you are perfectly cared for. And I've had that myself in this apparent dream life, that every crossroads I've been at and thought, oh my God, this is it. The world's going to end. I don't know how I'm going to survive. I don't know how I'm going to have any money to put a roof over my head or things like that. Or how am I going to live without this person in my life who just died, or the relationship that just ended? Whatever it was, everything always works out. And we can all say that. When we look back, it's like, you know what? It's all okay. It all works out fine because we're not here. And as the 12 core themes said, God's will for me is perfect happiness. And I share God's will for me. I share God's will for me because I am God. I am the whole of God. Not this separate ego self is not God. That would be arrogance. That would be grandiosity. But the truth of our spirit, our being, the I am, that is, and we can rest in that. So over to you, Sharon.
This teaching could be so simple because we aren't doing anything. I was prompted to pick this reading out. Is the teacher Daniel Shea, and I love his work. And he writes in his book, the reality is you are not responsible for anything at all, nor is anyone. This understanding, as discussed earlier, does not mean you don't act as though you're responsible. If you don't take out the trash, the house will stink. Whether you're responsible for that or not, you probably want to take out the trash. The fact that you are not responsible doesn't mean you can evade consequences. This applies to your inner world as well. While it's true that it doesn't matter what you do or don't do, if you are not the doer, you will still reap what you sow. See, and that's interesting because, you see, we're mind and we're aware. And when we come to A Course in Miracles, it really helps us see, number one, that we're not in control, because egos are not in control. It's a movie that's already over. However, we learn that we have one thing, and that's choice of who we're listening to or which mind we choose to be in. And this is the beauty of this text. It was interesting when Lori was talking, I think it was Lori, about the course. There's some teachings that have said, oh, the course that's not for advanced spiritual study. I've heard this from, I won't say people's names, but there are course teachers that think that you're past that. Well, there's no past the Course, because the Course in Miracles is a very deep teaching. If you take it and you really, really sit with these lines that Jesus is giving us and contemplate them, it can bring you to understand that there's never been a world. And that's why I simply didn't agree, but I didn't know at the time, because I probably at the time when a person had said that the Course, you're past that, I probably just didn't even know what he was saying, this teacher. But when people say that, I don't know what they're really saying. This Course in Miracles is a very advanced book. When you read it and read it and read it, and you just follow what it's saying, you will have at least relief. Whether you have awakening or not, that's not determined by you or anyone else. That's just happening through us. There's no one special here. We make people special in our story, but there is no one special. In fact, we are all special because there's just one of us here. So, with our inner world, we really want to be conscious because we are feeding the whole. If we had any kind of like judgments about, what's going on in Israel with Hamas and all this other stuff, we're just feeding the matrix. We are not staying and holding peace. And a lot of beings think that we should, stand up, especially right now. Jewish people are saying, stand up. And I am Jewish, so I know I'm hearing that a lot, but that doesn't help to stand up. And I'll tell you why. Any force in this world brings on the energy of the ego. The ego is not healing. The ego is a mechanism of duality. It goes back and forth as a pendulum, like the Tao. That's what we are. We are the Tao. So to stay in center and to realize that we can help the collective by being the peace of God, by knowing that we're the peace of God. And that's all that's here, is the peace of God. And all the things that this character thought she went through was just a dream, no different than the one I had last night. Anyway, I don't see Regis in the room yet, but today's Thankful Thursday. And on Thankful Thursday, I enjoy it because Regis comes on and then Karen's on, and I just love all this stuff. And, why wouldn't we love this stuff? We're above the battlefield. We are in peace, all of us. So I say, well done to the sonship. Anyway, Dove, over to you to close.
Okay, I just want to thank you for that, Sharon and Laurie. And Regis, I think, is in the room. I just want to mention tonight at 7, we do the deep dive into the manual for teachers. And please join us for that. It starts at 7 o'clock on a Zoom. ACIM gathers Zoom. So without further ado, I'll turn this mic back on over to you, Lynn, or over to Regis. Regis, everyone loves Regis. The mic is all yours. Love you.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, you guys, so much. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Dove. And yes, we'll turn this mic over to you, Regis Reeves.